This is a little bit of the story about our path and things that brought us to where we're at today. At that time, we had 2 iron foundries. We had an aluminum foundry, a brass foundry. We had a machining center, and we had our own product line still that we were making, and we were making parts that were from maybe a half a pound to 10,000 pounds. So we started at that time. I say we decide what we wanted to be when we grew up. We just narrowed down, and it gave to me one of the most important lessons, and that is that you really need to look at your customer base and what you're doing, and if every year you're not getting rid of 5% that's on the edges, you're not doing your job. And my father always told me that there are cycles in business where, buyers, sellers, market, recessions, and that. It gave us an opportunity in our business to decide what we wanted to be when we grew up. In a 5-quarter time period, we went from 100% sales to the 5th quarter was 20% of what it was. And 5 quarters earlier, we didn't lose a single customer, a single job. We had one customer that was in the ag end of it, Van Ruden, and they bought $600,000 one year, and they bought $10,000 the next year. So you really got to decide what you wanted to do. And we began to say, okay, it's back now, but what do we do different? How do we stay out in front? And we created a partnership with the world's largest foundry equipment company, and we said 2 things. We needed a lot of engineering for our what-ifs, and if we did that, we would open up our plant to let other people come in and see this equipment. And that deal worked incredibly well for us because we had unlimited engineering. We tried to get the operations manager to do and lead the Toyota way. Finally took the individual that was in administration and was doing a lot of other activities and said, why don't you lead it and lead it from the customer's perspective? And I'll be darned, we were very, very successful. Well, that individual today is now the CEO of the company. It tells you results do make a difference. How do we get to this inspire, engage, empower, and align? We get to this employee challenge. And the employee challenge really breaks down into employee engagement. And how are you going to change it dramatically? We have a 1-page business strategy. On that page, every employee knows it, every customer, supplier that comes in. It has mission, vision, core values, safety commitment, value proposition, employee proposition, our initiatives for this year, a little bit on our performance for last year, it's very simple, and we move everything is aligned to that strategy today. Inspiring employees, that is the job. It's the job of the CEO, president of the company. It can't be delegated. You can work with your leadership team, but it is the CEO's job. It's not a committee job to come up with the inspiration. Today, we have a very, very simple one, and that's becoming the world's most agile foundry. And it's a fun one. You can visualize it. We send employees all around the world looking at foundries, the best of the best, and saying, how can that come back into our plant? How do we get to be that? How can we become a visual or an agile foundry? When you talk about engaging the individual, so we've inspired them, now we want to engage them. I always come down to the culture of the company. It is the character of the organization in the company. It's built on the core values. Are you living and doing, do you own the core values? They are there to tell stories about what's it mean to have integrity in this company. So you need to develop all of the stories in and around that to value people, focus on result. These are the current core values of our company. And in many respects, empowering the group is the absolute easiest part of this whole thing. There are 3 rules. Ask people, then listen, and then when they respond, you have to act. and not react. And there's nothing wrong with telling them, you know, that doesn't fit the vision that we're at. We're trying to do this, we're not trying to do that. But you've listened to them and you've gone back and forth to them. Or you just immediately say, that's a great idea. And even though you know it's not going to, but that's fine. They'll find out soon enough, and their next 3 ideas will blow you out of the market. We started a simple $10,000 program, and it has been absolutely the most successful single program that we've done. And that is, every time we spend $10,000, we get employee involvement. Now it started when, like everybody in capital investments, you have a supervisor or manager come in and they say, we really need this piece of equipment and it's going to get this for us. And you're going back and forth and you say, well, have you talked to the guys in the shop? Are they all involved? Absolutely, they're all involved in it. And I looked at it and at that time and I just knew. And I said, well, I tell you what, I'm not going to say yes right now, but I'm just going to walk around the plant in the next couple of days and visit and ask the employees what they thought about this idea. And you know what the expression on their faces were. They immediately say, well, why don't you wait? We've got a little more work to do. And they did. They hadn't it was, you know, do you get employee involvement? Well, if it's a check off on a chart, that's what they did. They didn't get the involvement. Aligning an organization, if you've got the individual teams, now you get all of the teams rowing in the right direction. We went and put touch screen kiosks throughout the plants. Very simple message, newspaper that's out there. You can touch on these stories. It might have something to do with machining, the little improvement things. New employee comes and you find a conversation starter. This is always up on the same Monday that the new employee starts. Metrics are important. It's a very simple metric using a metaphor of targets. And you look on late shipments there, all of them, there's 6 that are pretty good. We don't have to worry about them. One little out, but there's one which is machining late shipments. Well, let's look at it in detail. And it was going along absolutely great, and then that week it dropped off. There were 4 jobs that were late. So you're sharing information, getting it out to the workforce. We've had a lot of fun bringing this same technology to banks and manufacturing firms and one hospital, and it's been a fun ride. You can't do communication in a once-a-month meeting or the quarterly meeting where the CEO gets out. You have to have a group that's talking about communications each and every week. And the simple thing is, if you look at how much time and effort we spend on our communications to our customers, and they're not as important as the internal communication. So find a system of some sort that you can use for internal communications. But you got to own your culture in that. Imagine if every person in your firm came to work believing their ideas could influence the company.